Power begins to rot the moment it becomes a habit. The man who is always seen, always heard, always responding, he is no longer a presence, he is background noise. In a world flooded with voices, silence becomes thunder. What is common is not just ignored, it is disrespected. Machiavelli glimpsed this truth through the eyes of a Renaissance court, but the instinct is older, deeper. It is the animal law of rarity. What cannot be easily touched is either sacred or dangerous. Gold glimmers, not just from the ground, but from the distance it imposes. You do not see kings strolling daily through the market square. They emerge like eclipses, not to mingle, but to be witnessed. So stop chasing their comfort. Stop craving their approval. The herd loves what is close because it feels safe, but safety is the grave of awe. Reveal yourself too often, and you give them permission to ignore you. Flood them with your presence, and they will dry you with their indifference. You must withdraw, not as a coward, but as a sovereign. You must master the art of scarcity. And when you do, a strange hunger will emerge around you. Your silence will hum. Your absence will become a story. And those who once overlooked you will now obsess over your shadow. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen your worth rise when you pulled away? Do not confuse scarcity with passivity. This is not about hiding. It is about control. A control so refined that even your absence becomes intentional. A king does not vanish because he fears the court. He vanishes to force the court to miss him. Your disappearance must speak louder than their noise. When you ration your time, you teach others to cherish it. When you deny access, you raise your price. The crowd will never tell you this. They will beg you to stay visible, to be authentic, to share constantly. But what they truly want is to own you, to make your brilliance mundane. Refuse. Choose mystique over exposure. Every time you speak, let it be a flare in the dark. Every appearance must feel like a verdict. Power is not in being everywhere. Power is in being missed. Think of the gods. They do not dine daily among mortals. They whisper through omens and vanish into myth. You must do the same. You are not a commodity. You are a storm waiting to break. When they ask why you are distant, say nothing. Let them wonder. Let them spiral. Mystery breeds obsession, and obsession breeds reverence. Comment below. When was the last time your silence made? Someone speak louder. The tragedy of modern man is his addiction to presence. He believes that availability equals love, that attention must be earned by constant display. This is the sickness of the servant, not the posture of the ruler. You are not here to be seen. You are here to be remembered. Machiavelli taught that a prince should be both loved and feared, but if he must choose, let him choose fear. I will tell you why. Love fades, but fear lingers. And fear does not come from violence. It comes from inaccessibility. When people cannot read you, they imagine. And what they imagine is always greater, more terrible, more holy than what you truly are. This is the secret. You do not need to be powerful. You need to be perceived as powerful. And perception is born in absence. The man who cannot be reached becomes the man they speak of in whispers. The one who delays his answer becomes the one whose word feels like law. Discipline is your throne. Silence is your armor. And scarcity is your sword. But beware. This weapon cuts both ways. If you vanish too long, they forget. If you vanish too little, they consume you. You must walk the edge, present enough to haunt them, distant enough to keep them starving. Have you mastered that balance? Tell me. Scarcity is not weakness. It is a deliberate firebreak between you and the wildfires of the world. It is how you stop the unworthy from burning through your energy. When everyone has access to you, no one values you. You become a public well, useful, visited, and forgotten. But when your presence is rare, your water becomes wine. People gather not to drink, but to worship. They prepare for you. They dress for you. They rehearse their words before speaking, fearing your indifference more than your wrath. This is not arrogance, this is architecture. You are building a temple, not a tavern. And yet, many will resist this. They will call you distant, aloof, cold. Let them. These words are weapons of the desperate, the entitled, the ones who feed on your presence like parasites. Cut them off, withdraw, and then watch as they crawl back, confused and hungry. Because human nature is predictable. What retreats is pursued, what is abundant is abandoned. This is not cynicism, it is instinct. The rare becomes sacred because it is untouchable. The touchable becomes trash. So ask yourself now, are you building an altar or a sidewalk? Respond in the comments. I want to know. There is a reason ancient rulers built walls around their palaces, not for safety, but for symbolism. A wall says, you cannot pass unless I allow it, and in that permission, power is born. Today, you do not need stone. Your boundary is time. Your wall is silence. When they text, do not reply. When they call, let it ring. When they demand, delay. Every moment you withhold creates a question in their mind, a vacuum they will rush to fill. Why isn't he answering? What is he doing? Did I lose him? That uncertainty is your shadow army. It conquers without ever raising a sword. But hear me, this strategy is not for the weak. If your scarcity is not backed by substance, you will be unmasked. Power built only on mystery collapses at the first confrontation. Machiavelli warned us, you must be rare and strong. Withdraw like a god but strike like a general. Let your silence provoke, but your action punish. Do not be a ghost, be a storm on the horizon. They should dread your return, not because you're cruel, but because you're undeniable. Because once you speak, things move. So I ask you, is your silence filled with strength or just fear? Be honest. To be rare is not to be absent. It is to be calculated. Like a comet crossing the sky, you appear only when the timing serves you, not them. This is why kings delayed their decisions, why generals slept while battles raged. Not from laziness, but from dominance. When you wait, others fidget. When you're silent, others confess. The uncertain man reveals himself, trying to fill the void your absence creates. And in that void, your power multiplies. Never explain your silence. Let them project. Let them suffer the weight of not knowing. Their obsession will do your work for you. And when you return, do not crawl. Do not apologize. Appear with weight, with stillness, with precision. Speak little. Look long. People remember gestures more than speeches. A nod from the scarce man is worth more than an essay from the common. That is the logic of myth. The oracle does not explain. The lion does not bark. You must be slow, deliberate, like a blade being unsheathed. Do this and even your smallest movement will feel like thunder. They will say, he is back, and they will feel it. Not in the mind, but in the spine. Have you ever returned stronger than you left? Share it. Scarcity reshapes the mind of others. When they cannot predict you, they begin to mythologize you. They turn your silence into strategy, your delay into wisdom. They say, he must be planning something, when in truth you are simply resting. This is the power of controlled absence. It transforms your inaction into theater, and the audience becomes your messenger. They will tell your story for you, add layers to your legend, just to fill the silence you've left behind. You no longer need to impress them. You simply need to make them wait. But beware, too much scarcity without rhythm becomes neglect. Even gods must descend from the heavens now and then. You must return. Like the moon, not always present but always expected. This is the dance. Show just enough to stir desire, then vanish before it is satisfied. Leave questions behind you like incense. Who are you meeting? Why did you leave early? What did that one look mean? The less you say, the more they speak. The less you give, the more they chase. So tell me, are you feeding their hunger or are you feeding their boredom? The line is razor thin. Machiavelli did not invent this law. He revealed it. The psychology of scarcity is older than civilization. It is rooted in our hunger, in the way the wolf watches the elusive prey with more fear than the easy one. When something is difficult to obtain, we assume it has value, not because it is better, but because it is harder. That illusion is powerful, and if you learn to wield it, you can make men worship silence. Consider gold. For centuries, it served no practical purpose, yet its scarcity made empires rise. Your time must be gold, your energy, precious metal. Your access and a crown, not a gift. But this is not just about others. Scarcity disciplines you. When you learn to withhold yourself, you begin to listen. You begin to conserve. You become a master of energy, not its victim. The man who is always present burns fast, dies early. The one who paces himself walks through decades like a sovereign. Scarcity is self-respect. It's the refusal to let the world devour you in pieces. And when you withhold, when you choose when, how, and with whom to appear, you stop being a man and become a force. Tell me now, are you being consumed or are you being awaited? There is no in-between. Power, true power, is not loud. It is felt in the bones, in the pauses between your words, in the heavy silence after you leave a room. The man who is always speaking is the man no one listens to, but the one who measures his words like a surgeon measures his cuts, that man becomes a myth. Scarcity is not just about being unavailable, it's about calibrating your value in the eyes of others. Every time you withhold your attention, you create demand. Every time you disappear, you become a question that lingers. This is not manipulation. This is nature. Watch any creature in the wild. It is not the rabbit that commands fear. It is the one that moves rarely, silently, watching from the shadows. The one you cannot predict. That is the one you never turn your back to. You must become this force. Not frantic, not needy, not explainable. Be like the mountain, unmoved but unforgettable. Every interaction you allow should feel earned, not because you are arrogant, but because your time is sacred. And yes, this will make some hate you. Let them. Their resentment is a sign that you've stopped playing their game. The world has taught you to beg for relevance, but what happens when you stop trying to be liked? When you stop showing up for every call, every invitation, every demand? You shift the gravity. You become the center. Not by asking Machiavelli, but by pulling. Their orbit tightens because your silence is magnetic. Have you noticed this? That when you withhold, the world leans closer. Speak on it. This is your turning point. Scarcity is the architecture of desire. The less they have of you, the more they crave. This is why rulers of old vanished into marble halls, not to rest, but to rise. Their absence was part of their costume, their mask, their mystique. When they finally emerged, their presence was a spectacle. Trumpets. Silence. Then a single gesture, a nod, a glance, a decree, that was enough. Why? Because the world had been starving in their absence. That hunger made even the smallest movement feel divine. You must build the same ritual. Your every return must feel like an event, a reappearance, not just a man or a moment. You must teach them that your presence is never guaranteed, that it must be earned, not expected. But let's be clear, this is not a game for the weak. If you vanish, you must vanish to grow. If you are silent, you must be sharpening your voice. The man who withdraws and returns unchanged is not a mystery. He is a coward. Scarcity only works when you return with weight. When you step back into view, there must be something different in your eyes, in your posture, in your silence. They must feel it before you speak, that something has shifted, that while they were busy searching, you were evolving. Power is not in leaving. Power is in returning stronger. When you walk back into the room, let them feel the altitude you've gained. Let them wonder how high you've climbed and how far above them you now stand. Do this right, and they'll never see you the same again. Have you ever reappeared like that? Tell me. I want to know. The truly powerful never chase. They attract. They do not explain their worth. They let others feel it. This is why you must stop broadcasting your every move, your every thought, your every emotion. Modern life teaches you to expose yourself for validation, to be seen constantly, to be transparent. But transparency is the death of magnetism. When they know too much, they stop imagining. When they see everything, they stop looking. You must retreat from this madness. Reclaim the parts of you that no one gets to touch. Build a silence so dense that it bends their attention. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them guess. Let them burn in that ambiguity. That fire, that's your leverage. Machiavelli understood this before Instagram, before texting, before this age of compulsive visibility. He watched rulers vanish for weeks, then return with one gesture that shook the court. It wasn't just the gesture, it was the wait, the delay, the doubt. When people aren't sure where they stand with you, they work harder. They speak more carefully, they seek your approval like a scarce commodity. That's when you shift the dynamic. You are no longer equal. You are desired. You are measured. You are feared. And when they finally gain your presence, they treat it as sacred. but only if you've made them suffer the cost of your absence. You must train them to value you, not through giving, but through withholding. Tell me, when was the last time someone earned your attention? Truly earned it? Every time you say yes without reflection, you diminish your worth. Every time you answer instantly, show up uninvited, or offer yourself too freely, you move one step closer to invisibility. Not because you're unseen, but because you've become ordinary. The world does not admire the sun for shining. It admires the eclipse, that rare moment when light bends into awe. You must become that, a rare alignment of force and silence, presence and mystery. When they think they know you, disappear. When they begin to assume, become unpredictable. You do not owe the world your availability. You owe it your excellence. And excellence requires withdrawal, solitude, silence, the conditions in which kings are forged. But there's danger here, not from others, from yourself. When scarcity begins to work, when people start leaning in, chasing, whispering your name, your ego will swell. You'll be tempted to believe your own myth, to think that presence alone now commands power. This is the trap. Scarcity is a strategy, not a substitute for strength. If you return empty, they will see through the veil. If you're all shadow and no weight, the illusion dies. So build yourself in the dark. Strengthen in silence. Use absence not as a hiding place, but as a forge. Then when you emerge, your presence won't just be rare, it will be undeniable. Have you fallen for the illusion of image without substance? Have you pretended to be rare before you were ready? Confess it, then rise beyond it. The greatest seduction is not beauty, it is distance. The lover who lingers too long loses allure. The friend who's always available becomes invisible. The leader who answers every call becomes a servant. Scarcity is not cruelty. It is a signal that says, I am not for everyone. And that simple message transforms how others approach you. They lower their voices, they choose their words, they ask instead of demand, because they know they could lose you. And that possibility terrifies them. It awakens a primal fear, the fear of exclusion, of being left out of the inner circle, of missing something powerful, rare, untouchable. But this scarcity must be disciplined. There's a fine line between creating desire and cultivating resentment. Do not vanish into nothingness. You must leave traces, glimpses, signs, echoes, just enough for the world to know you're watching, that you're active, selective, deliberate. The gods of old sent omens, not schedules. Be like them. Let your silence feel like a choice, not a failure. Let your return feel like a reward, not an accident. In business, this is how legends are built. In relationships, this is how devotion is earned. In life, this is how sovereignty is restored. You're not just a person anymore, you're a presence. Can you feel the difference? If not, you haven't gone far enough yet. Your absence should speak louder than your words. It should haunt rooms long after you've left. It should make people ask themselves, did I say something wrong? Did I lose him? That doubt is your crown. That silence, your scepter. When they are unsure of where they stand with you, they move carefully. They tread as if walking near fire. They rehearse, rephrase, reconsider. This is not because you have punished them, Bita, but because your distance forced them to confront your value. The available man is not respected. He is used. The scarce man? He is remembered, even in silence. He becomes legend, not through noise, but through absence. But make no mistake, this isn't about cruelty. This is about recalibration. You are teaching the world how to treat you. Every moment you withhold sets the standard. Every delayed reply reminds them, your time is earned, not assumed. You must be willing to disappoint the impatient, to offend the entitled, to deny the undeserving, because what you protect is sacred. Your focus, your energy, your presence. The man who masters scarcity walks into a room and changes its gravity, not with words but with weight. They feel you before you speak. They listen because you don't always talk. They prepare because they don't know when you'll appear again. This is dominance, quiet, composed, inescapable. Tell me, have you ever made a room stop just by entering it? If not, it's time you did. There are two kinds of power, the kind they can touch and the kind they can only feel. The first is earned through action, the second through mystery. The man who walks around showing everything may gain applause, but never reverence. Reverence is born in absence, in the fear of not knowing, in the weight of what might be. When you control how often you're seen, you control how you're remembered. When you say little, people analyze your silence. When you appear rarely, they memorize your steps. It's not about being unreachable, it's about being unpredictable. That's the difference between a presence and a phenomenon. Scarcity transforms perception. It forces others to assign meaning to even your smallest gestures. A glance becomes a command, a pause becomes a test, and they respond, not to what you said, but to what you didn't. This is the genius of Machiavelli. He turned human weakness, our hunger for answers, into a weapon. He knew that people will fill silence with imagination, and imagination is always more powerful than truth. You don't have to be brilliant all the time. You just have to appear when it matters, and vanish before they forget how it felt. Has your silence ever said more than your words? Let them tell you. The comments are open. Scarcity creates more than power. It creates dependency. When you are rarely seen, rarely heard, your approval becomes currency. People begin to protect your reputation, not out of loyalty, but out of fear of exclusion. They defend your name in rooms you've never entered. They exaggerate your words, glorify your gestures, mythologize your silence, because in their minds, your absence must mean importance. You are no longer a man, you are an idea, and ideas, when rare, become religions. That is the highest form of influence, to become someone whose very presence is debated, dissected, desired, all without speaking a word. But scarcity, to be sacred, must be earned. You must have substance beneath the silence, otherwise you're just a shadow waiting to be exposed. Power without depth is theater, and the world is full of clowns pretending to be kings. Don't be one of them. Build yourself while they wonder. Let their curiosity fund your evolution. When you return with something unshakable: mastery, vision, strength. The man who disappears to build and reappears transformed is unstoppable. His absence wasn't an escape. It was a preparation. Let them feel that. Let your silence echo with purpose. And when you speak again, let the room remember why they missed you. Have you built in the dark, or are you still performing in the light? Decide. Now. Machiavelli's formula is not gentle. It is not polite. It is not built for the comfort of the herd. It is a weapon, forged from silence, wielded with restraint, and sharpened by discipline. It tells you to appear less, demand more, vanish before they grow familiar, to let others sweat in your absence, tremble in your presence, and whisper about your motives long after you've left. The world will tell you this is arrogance, but what they truly fear is your refusal to be owned. They fear that you've chosen yourself over their approval, that you've escaped the cycle of obedience, that you no longer chase, you pull. And that is the final transformation, from man to myth, from noise to presence, from servant to sovereign. When you speak, they will listen. When you act, they will respond. When you vanish, they will feel the cold. Because you are no longer common. You are no longer reachable. You are no longer one of them. You are the exception. The one who walks into the room and shifts its air. The one they wait for. The one they fear losing. The one they need. This is not magic. This is not ego. This is strategy. The weak scatter themselves. The strong retreat, and the world follows. Like this video, subscribe, leave your thoughts, and remember, the more rare you are, the more real your power becomes. Be scarce, be wanted, be feared,